How is it going, everybody? My name is JustJarrod, but you guys can just call me Jared. Welcome back to another No Man's Sky video. You're on the freshest No Man's Sky channel there is, and today I'm going to be talking about my No Man's Sky next impressions. My impressions. Now, if you hear my voice moving around, that's because I'm walking and standing back to the old format, or the recently new format of me standing and recording and just having a good old time with no notes and nothing. Here we are. Here's my impressions video. So it's not a first impressions video because, well, I've been playing the game nonstop almost, as much as I can with a full-time job, and I'm having a blast. So, my first two words that come to mind, even now, after a few days, is wow and how, which should be the title of this video. Wow and how, my No Man's Sky next review. First of all, wow, because visually, it's fantastic. Way, 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 way better. You will no longer hear me say, ever in a video, I want E3 planets. Because I am happy with what we have. And then secondly, how? How does Hello Games surprise us every single time there's an update? This is the biggest one yet, no doubt. 60,000 concurrent players on Steam. That's only counting Steam, not counting PS4 and Xbox players. They have truly made a comeback, and that's freaking amazing. I mean, it is. So wow and how. How did they do all this? How did they manage to fit all this into this one update? How did they manage to please every kind of player? Unbelievable. So things that I really noticed that aren't super obvious. Well, these are just things that just impressed me. I mean, really. It's my impressions video. So here it is. There's not a lot of bad in this video. It's mostly good. Visuals and variation. The visuals are outstanding. They are very, very good. They are very, very good. Now, when we talk about variation, I've seen a lot of. I don't think I've had enough time with the game, because when we talk about variation, and recently I had people come to me like, I'm seeing the same creatures, I'm seeing the same this, I'm seeing the same that. When it comes to creatures, it's really hard, right? Because each piece of them is variation, right? You could see a creature in Atlas Rises that may look like a creature in Next, but they have a new tail that's never been seen before. When people are looking at variation, they're looking at just the main aspects of the creature, and they're like, I've seen that before. So I don't think I've seen enough creatures yet. I've seen a few parts that are different, a few textures and colors that really pop that I've never seen before, but I haven't seen enough to really be like, there's so much more variation, right? I don't think we'll get to that point until way down the line. But plant flora variation, I've seen tons of. I've seen tons of flora variation, which I'm happy with. Scale. The scale is unbelievable. The draw distance is unfreaking believable now. When you can play my first hour of gameplay, I found a mountain that was so high and so strangely shaped that I couldn't get to the top of it unless I actually flew up there. And I didn't have my ship at the time. But after I went back and flew up there, I could not climb it. I couldn't jetpack up the side because of the shape. It was too tall. And I had to walk all the way around it to get somewhere, and it took forever. That kind of scale is unbelievable. I've seen pictures, which I'll show you guys, that Sean has been tweeting out from other people over on Reddit. Caves that are super huge. You can fly your ship through caves now. Underwater, we have deep oceans. Being able to fly over a planet with your ship and see creatures walking around. It's such a cool thing. The scale is unbelievable. Taking screenshots, it actually feels like you're on a planet. When you build a base, it feels like that's your home on this planet. Whereas before, it just kind of seemed like the planet was just there. You went there for your base and that was it. Now it feels like an actual place. Really, really cool. Resources. A lot of people I've heard complain about the resources. They're like, why did they have to change what we knew? Right? I don't know the reasoning behind the reworking and the renaming and the whole redesign of the resources, but I freaking love it. I love it. I think it looks so much cleaner. It's a lot better. I love the new refinery system. I think they could do a lot with the refinery system later down the line when they add new elements. You can, maybe they'll change different formulas. Maybe they'll add secret formulas. Who knows? They can do a lot of things. Maybe it will eventually be combining elements together instead of just using fuel to make something into something better. I think they could do a lot with that in the future, and I think they will do a lot with that in the future. I love the reworking. If you're confused about the elements and you're confused about the names, just go to the guide. The guide tells you literally everything. If you go to the guide and click on one of the resources, it'll break it down into steps as to what it does and how to get it and how to make it. The guide is fantastic. So if you're kind of confused with all that, definitely check it out. But I think the resources, the reworking of all of it combined with the refinery is just freaking dope. It's just so good. It's really, really good. Let's talk about buried treasure and artifacts, which I've talked about. You probably saw my video that I did. My favorite new mechanic. To the point where, when I made that video, it wasn't as big as it is now to me. I was super, excited about it, but now I've gotten this whole thing going where I am starting a catalog of all the artifacts I come across, because the general public right now believes that the artifacts that you find are procedurally generated, which means there's infinite amount, which means I can't keep every single one because I don't have inventory space for that. Even if I were to build 10 storage containers, each one having 5 slots, that's 50 artifacts. I've already got almost 30 different ones, and it's day 4 of No Man's Sky Next. I have not seen a duplicate. I have not had anybody show me a duplicate of one I already found. I am currently writing them all down. I have screenshots of every single one. I have the lore of every single one, and I'm going to catalog them. And then I think, if I'm ever able to store them all, I will, and then build kind of a museum in the game. I think that'd be super cool. But I think this is another step towards something. Maybe these artifacts, instead of just selling them for units, eventually you can put them physically in your base, like an artifact that you can look at. I've always said that that's something I wanted, some kind of procedurally generated relics or artifacts that you can collect. This is exactly what that is. I never thought it would be in the game. I never thought even close we would get buried treasure or anything like that, because there wasn't enough people asking for it. Yet here it is. My favorite mechanic, for sure, 100%. I'm loving it. I'm just doing like straight 6-hour streams of me just doing that same thing. I love it. They really, really nailed the third person. I didn't think I'd like third person on foot. I have not went back. I have not went back to first person. The third person on foot and in the ship's even better. The ship is even better. Seeing all around your ship, watching your ship actually go through combat and stuff like that. The space combat is so much more, it's easy to control now to me when you can see your ship. It's so fun. I always loved the space combat early on after each update, and then I would kind of fall off of it. I am in love with the space combat again. Definitely taking screenshots. The visuals in space look so much better. The explosions look so much better. Love the third person. Definitely on foot too. I love the third person. So bravo for third person view, because I freaking love it. Multiplayer, obviously. Everybody likes the multiplayer. A lot of people came in the game for the multiplayer. Just chilling with friends. So far I've only really played with one friend because a lot of the bugs that are going on kind of messing up my game with missions when I'm in multiplayer, so I'm kind of just doing it slowly until the patches comes out and fix things. But just being able to fly around with a friend and like collect things together, and when I'm over here doing something, I get in my ship and I see my friend over there just mining away or scanning things or doing whatever he's doing. That's just such a cool feeling, because we've never had that. We've never had that in No Man's Sky. 2 years of playing the game. It's totally different. It's totally different now. When you're seeing your friend fly his ship across your screen and then land next to you, it's just such a cool thing. And it works so good. There's not a lot of hiccups when you're in multiplayer that I've seen so far, whereas people teleporting, I haven't seen that. I've seen a little frame rate things here and there, but nothing crazy. Nothing things that we haven't been used to before with previous updates. The multiplayer is fantastic. When somebody's in ship combat and they're in your squad and they're like, come over here and help. I'm getting freaking wrecked by pirates. You freaking boost up there, and sure enough, he's getting wrecked by pirates. It's such a cool thing to be able to help out and things like that. It's awesome, really is. I can't wait for the bugs to be kind of ironed out. That way I can get a group of 4 and really, have that multiplayer shine, but so far I'm loving it. Next up on the list is the procedurally generated technology. I've always been saying that we should do that. They should have procedural loot here, and this is essentially the loot in the game. And now it is, because you can pick it up in the planets, on the worlds, by repairing damaged machinery and getting it, if you're lucky. You know, the S-Class modules are worth like 500 nanites. That's a pretty good amount, especially if you're starting out new. If you just fix a damaged material and all of a sudden you get Mining Beam S, and you're like, holy crap, yeah, that's cool. That rarity is an actual rarity now. It's actually rare to find things, which is great. Whereas before, it was never rare. That was the problem with rarity. There was exotic resources, but you found them everywhere. You know, there's still things that people haven't seen. I saw a thing, you know, I've been playing for so long. I haven't been to that many planets, but I've seen all these things. I'm like, I need even close to come across something like that. And then they have all these different things where, like, if you come across organic rocks, it can be chlorine, and it can be glowing green, and there's, like, small patches. And across the planet, on that same planet, I found one patch, and I was walking around flying over that planet for like 30 minutes, and I only found one other patch. They are rare. And then somebody else found organic rocks, but they were completely different. They were glowing red, and you pick them up, you don't mine them, and they give you something completely different, like mordite, which is something you only get from killing creatures. So it's this whole new, that's why the new resources are so good. It's so good. The procedural technology, right? Basically, everything is stat-based now, which I love. It's more RPG related, stat-based. You can fine-tune things you want instead of just upgrading and putting every upgrade in your exosuit, even though if you don't need it, just to boost your stats because they connect together. Now you can actually boost the stats you want with the modules. And yeah, they cost money, you know, the higher the class, SA or whatever, they cost more money, but you can also just find them just by doing missions for people and getting them as a random reward, or just by repairing stuff on planets. I think that adds this whole layer of doing what you want and still being able to progress. Whereas before, the whole progression was you get units to do this, to get more units, to do this, to get faster units, to do this, to get faster units. The whole end game was get as much units as you can, right? But for what purpose? Now, you don't have to necessarily only go for units. Because if you repair damaged machinery and get all these modules that cost a lot of nanites and they're worth a lot, you're not necessarily buying them. You're not stuck to only farming to get units now. Artifacts, buried treasure, units. All this stuff is so cool. To get units, or to progress in different ways, to build your ship with different stat bonuses with modules. It's just so cool. The fine-tuning, it's adding a new layer of progression in its entirety. It's not just only progressing. The only way to progress is to get units. So it's really good. And I love the whole base building aspect too. To progress the base building, you just buy base building parts with, guess what? Not units, because the game isn't focused around units anymore. It's all these different currencies. So you buy these base building parts by digging up buried treasure, and then you get more base building parts. So if you want to build, you don't have to spend your units. You can wait and use your units for other things. You can just go for buried treasure. I think the progression now is all over the place, which I think is a good thing. It's very wide and it's very deep. You can do what you want for whatever you want, basically, which is really good. The fleet system. So, the fleet system. I have barely actually touched into it, jumped into it. But me just looking at it and seeing how much freaking frigates cost, like 2 million each for a C class, and that's like 20 million for S classes, that's a deep system. Being able to send your fleet to certain missions and have them report back to you and come back with all these various rewards. Being able to like add bonuses and upgrades to them. To each frigate. To be able to go on your frigate, actually land on it and repair certain parts. That's so cool, dude. That's so cool. It's a whole new facet of the game that I wasn't really expecting. Like, we knew about the fleet system, but until I got on it and realized all of it that's going on, that is an awesome system. I haven't been able to play around with it as much as I want because I'm poor and can't just go off buying 30 frigates, right? I only have one, and right now it's damaged, and I've left it in space, and I have yet to repair it one time because I'm too lazy to go mine the asteroids for gold, silver, and platinum because I'm too busy trying to get artifacts. But still, definitely really cool. I like it's a whole new system. It's a whole new thing, this whole new mechanic, which is really, really cool. So I'm definitely down for getting into that because it seems like it's got some depth to it. It seems like there's definitely rewards for building up your fleet. I really like it. Now here's where we kind of round out my impressions, right? All this leads to something, right? It all ends with this. Hello Games has successfully either upgraded mechanics that were previously in the game or added new mechanics completely for every single kind of player. So the whole argument before Next came out that I had with people was like, yes, we're getting multiplayer and we're getting fleets and stuff for ship combat, whatever, new ships, but they have to please every kind of player, because they had that 4 pillars trailers going on before the game came out. Trade, survive, explore, combat, all this stuff. You can't just please the farming community who love to farm for units. You can't just please the people who only want multiplayer. You can't just please the explorers with variation and visuals. You have to please everybody. And this is where that comes in. We have artifacts that you can go and dig and bury and look for buried treasure. Such a cool thing. It's completely new. This whole fleet system, I hear farming has been changed quite a bit. The resources are completely redone. You can trade and actually make units off of it, and it's not just building all this tech to sell. There's actual reasons for all these things now. And I think they did fantastic with that. The procedural tech, allowing you to progress in multiple directions rather than just climbing the unit's ladder. Being able to really take a ship that's not that good and be able to put a bunch of modules in it and upgrade it to something that could possibly be good, instead of having to save up 30 million units to buy a good ship. I think what they've done is they've really tailored to every single possible playstyle. And I think that it's fantastic. That's exactly what they needed to do, to be completely honest. They needed to do that, and they 100% succeeded. Now, the only things, I have some things to say that are like, meh, right? A lot of the bugs that we're having now are game breaking and stuff like that. That's to be, obviously, that happened with Atlas Rises. Definitely now there's so many more people playing, so I don't really have an issue with that. The multiplayer, there's not really a way to play alone unless you just disconnect from your internet. Because right now you can set network play to off, but people are still joining me left and right. People are still joining other people I know left and right. When you want to just play alone, it doesn't seem like there's an option, unless the networking play thing is bugged, which is possible. So that's kind of a weird thing. But other than that, either I haven't played enough to really share an opinion, or it's just good. So if you are on the edge of purchasing the game, if you're into surviving, that's another thing. This is only normal mode. I haven't played survival, permadeath. Apparently, I have friends that have never died in survival mode, and turning this on, they've died 3 times, right off the bat. Apparently, it's a lot tougher, and it's a lot different. It's so much different. It's a new game. It really is No Man's Sky 2. This is the next No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky next. So if you're on the edge about getting it or whatever it may be, I definitely recommend it. I definitely recommend it. Now, yes, I have played the game for 2 years, but that being said, it should add more value. I've been playing No Man's Sky for 2 years. I have never felt this good about playing the game. I've never felt this much wonder playing the game. Being able to walk around, I've been to 4, maybe 5 systems, and I've some of the systems I've only gone to just to do the missions, and I always go back to my first couple systems, and I just walk endlessly on these planets, like I used to do at launch. At launch of the game, I would land on a planet and just walk for hours, just going to building. I never got in my ship and went through it. I walked everywhere. With the new things now where you can't teleport things to your ship from any direction and all that, you can't charge your launch thrusters from any direction, it forces you to walk. And I love it. I love that. And I'm doing that again with this update. I'm just getting on a planet and just walking, taking screenshots, looking at all these new things. The scale is so good. The screenshots are so nice. The variety and just seeing things that you're like, whoa, what is that? I still get screenshots every day where I'm like, I didn't even know that could happen. Where you have creatures almost the sizes of a crashed freighter. Like, come on. I've seen that picture on Twitter. Like, are you kidding me? It's insane. It really is. So I definitely recommend getting the game. These are my impressions. 20 minutes of impressions. I know it's just me freaking out and stuff, but this is legit how I feel. I took a few days to really play it, to really think about it. There might be some other negatives in there that I just can't think about because I just don't think about them. I mean, it's an overwhelmingly good experience. It really is. And talking with the community and hearing people freak out and just thank Hello Games and talk about their comeback and see 60,000 people playing on Steam currently. Is unbelievable, and it's definitely a testament to how everybody's enjoying the game. So if you're on the fence about the game sucked 2 years ago, the devs lied, blah blah blah, which never happened anyway, read the interviews, just saying, just get the game. It's fun. Who cares if it wasn't fun 2 years ago? It's fun now. So play it. So that's about it. This isn't a video to convince you to buy the game. This is just me kind of share with my community how I'm feeling about it. So, and that's what it is. Expect more content in the future. We're gonna get weird. We're gonna get weird on this channel. There's weird stuff coming. After this video, I'm editing something weird. It's gonna be good. I'm excited. Hope you're excited. Anyways, that is it for me. Hope you enjoyed it. Sorry about my rambling, but man, I'm having such a good time with the game. So, if you enjoyed it, give it a like. Comment down below how you're feeling about the game. Subscribe for more No Man's Sky news, gameplay, opinion-related videos, coverage, all of that stuff. And until next time, I hope you have a good one. See you in the stars.